Hello, beauties and gents. Welcome to Bliss Beyond Limits, Empowering Moms for Autism Awareness. As you know, April is Autism Awareness, and we're always celebrating our babies and making it known how important autism is and how to advocate for our kids and our family members. But in this instance, we're going to be talking about moms and how we can help make their life a little easier, how to kind of transition, sharing stories. I have some amazing guests with me here, and I am super excited to share them with you guys. We have Kate Coble, who is a mom, an autistic mom herself. She's going to share her experience. We're going to just be having a conversation. And for the first time ever, I'm going to have my husband on here as well to share his experience. So I just wanted to welcome everyone, welcome all the autism moms, welcome the community to this experience. This is our first ever, and for many more to come, to share this experience. So next, we are going to have Kate on up with us to get this started. Hi, Kate. How are you?
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having
Hi.
me.
Yes, I had to have you on here. Kate is very close to me, you guys. She has helped me more than she knows through this journey of being an autism mom. So, Kate,
Mhm.
tell our audience a little bit about yourself before we get into this.
Okay, well, um, I have a 13-year-old autistic son who's wonderful most of the time. And um, I am right now, I'm a stay-at-home mom, but in my former life, I was trained in social work and I worked for a long time in early childhood education. So, like in the 0 to 5 age group. And I worked there for about 25 years. And I've been at home mm, 4 or 5 years now, I think.
So, you've been in the workforce, you're an at-home mom. Before we get into that part of it, how would you describe motherhood, just in general?
Oh, it is the most wonderful and the most brutal thing in the world.
I would
I wouldn't
definitely
trade it for
agree.
anything. But it is, as they say, not for sissies.
I would definitely agree. And to add a diagnostics of uh, autism to it, it makes it a different experience.
Mhm.
So, how would you describe the roller coaster of emotions following the diagnosis of your son?
Um, well, I think in my case it was a little different because I have had worked with autistic children prior to having my own, and so I was, familiar with the signs, and I sort of knew that he was going to be diagnosed just in my own head. Um, so it was sort of a mixture of relief because I knew something was going on, and then we can, once we got the diagnosis, we could move forward. Um,
Right,
and also, I don't want to say sadness because to me, it's not sad. It's just like a pivot, kind of.
right.
You like that word, pivot.
Pivot, yes.
Once you find it's just like you're going down this one path and this is the way you think you're going, and then you find out there's something else coming and you got to kind of veer off.
That's
So
very
I
true.
think I think my probably the biggest emotion was just worry for Aiden. Like how much is he going to struggle? Am I going to be? Are we going to be able to give him what he needs? That kind of thing.
I agree. With my experience, for the new people on here who haven't watched my show, Beauty and Me with Tina, I am an autism mom myself. This is kind of how the whole event was put together to kind of share our experiences and give advice and have guests on here that can help you through the process and give resources that can help you as well, you and your family. So with me, I would say it was a blame myself moment
Oh.
first.
Hmm.
It was a blame myself moment first. And it was like,
How
okay,
come?
because it's like, how do you prevent something like this? And I get
Yeah.
emotional every time I talk about it because it was
Yeah.
really a shocking moment. It was one of those where
Right.
the doctors told us something completely different what he would be diagnosed with. It was, hey, he won't be able to walk, he won't be able to talk. You're gonna have to
Right.
do this. You're gonna have to learn sign language. You're gonna have to
Right.
figure out different things. But then on top of that, he was born really early. So it wasn't even
Hmm.
a diagnosis of autism. It was, hey, your child is going to be 28 weeks gestation. He's born at 1 pound.
Yeah, I'm sure that was so overwhelming.
Now you're going through the process of NICU. You're traveling back and forth
Yeah.
to Atlanta. You are
Yeah.
praying every day. You're checking on doctors and probably working their nerves because you're calling every 2 seconds trying to see what's going on. And we were blessed enough to to have doctors that were like, hey, here's what's going on. He has a chance of being autistic. These are doctors you need to go see. And seeing a
Hmm.
doctor or two doctors every day was, okay, what did I do wrong? Did I not get enough rest? So should I have been on bed rest early? Should I have eaten differently? Could I have caught this earlier? It's a lot of self blaming and reflection and trying to see what could have been done differently. So it was
We
definitely a
love
roller
to blame
coaster.
ourselves, don't we? We
Yes,
love to
we
blame ourselves
do.
as moms. It's always our responsibility, our
Yeah,
fault.
it's like,
What
what
do
did we
we?
do? What did we not
Yeah.
handle? Did we not sit down? Did we not wear the right thing? Did we not eat perfectly? And ladies, I don't know if you went through it. It is not our fault. It happens. There's different causes to autism. It is not our fault. I, even though we did research,
Yeah.
my husband and I, we read about it, we talked to the doctors, you still subconsciously go through that roller coaster of, okay, you know what else could I have done? What did I do that made this happen?
Hmm.
So we roll into, okay, now that we've accepted this, now that we know that it's not our fault, it's something that just, it happens, there's different causes to it. Um, the human body
Right.
is not completely known, to say the least.
Right.
How how would you say you balance acceptance of the diagnosis?
Um, I think that um, I think that autism, and I'm going to steal your word here too, is like a superpower. You know, our kids have so many strengths, and so many gifts, and you just have to be able to see those. They have challenges as well, but they also have. I mean, they're just amazing people, and so I guess the balance for me is, in the midst of whatever challenge we're going through, I think about all of the things that he can do, how far we've come, and just what a hilarious kid he is. I mean, he's hilarious. He makes us laugh. So smart. He's just a wonderful human. Doesn't minimize the challenges, because there are definitely those, and it's hard. Um, but I think that's where I get the balance. What about you?
I would definitely agree. It was one of those where it became a routine. We knew
Hmm.
that, okay, here's what we had to do. Here are the doctors we need to see. Here's the therapists we need to see.
Yeah.
We were blessed enough to have members from Babies Can't Wait and Healthy
Hmm.
Families to come to the house and help us kind of maneuver and help him process different things and feelings
Mhm.
and what to look for with all the doctors. So it became a normal thing. It's like, hey, we know we had these doctors to meet. We know what time we need to go. We know he needs to be on our schedule. And I'm trying to see how to put this. I knew how I was and all the limits that they were putting on him because he was
Mhm.
autistic. So I wanted to push the button, my husband and I, playing
And you did.
devil's advocate to say the least.
You did.
I love
Yeah.
changing around the house, and I knew that with autism, you had to be very careful. You had to be very aware of changes because it can make them have a breakdown. And you
Mhm.
try to minimize that and control that as best as you can. So with that, I kind of pushed the limits as much within reason that wouldn't affect how he acted, my husband and I. So I would change around his room. I would change around the house. I would do
Mhm.
things at a really early age that I knew later on down the road may help him with how he deal with
Mhm.
changes. Now, we did have challenges because I don't see autism as a disability. I see it them as using the part of the brain that we can't access
Mhm.
because they're geniuses. They are very
Mhm.
smart. They just struggle with things differently.
Mhm. I
And
agree.
it is one of those where I had myself had to explain to people when he had his moments, he's not being a bad child or
Mhm.
disobedient. He's autistic. He's having a moment. He may not agree with what
Mhm.
you have on. You may have talked too loudly. He may have heard the sounds of an ambulance. He may have heard the vacuum, and
Mhm.
it triggered him.
Right.
So give me a moment. Let us calm him down. And 2 minutes later, it's like nothing ever happened.
Right. Yeah. Well, I was going to say you reminded me of something that I think is so important. Uh, the community that you surround yourself with is a huge part in my mind of self-care, because you need people around you that are going to support you, that are going to understand what's happening, um, and they're going to support your child. And I tell you, if your child is receiving services, therapists,
Right.
your children's teachers, I mean, it's um, vital that you have a relationship with them and that you build a relationship with them. And
Right.
also, build a relationship with the other parents that you see. I met
Mm.
Tina in the lobby of our son's preschool. We used to have to drop him off in the lobby, and we'd have to sit there and wait, until the teachers came and got them. So
Mhm.
we would see each other every 2 or 3 days, and we just started chatting. And, here we are 10 years later.
Yeah.
And Tina has been, I mean, I think, we've been for each other just a huge support. And I have other parents that you meet. I think um it's important to reach out and surround yourself with people who get it, because your families can sometimes be hard. you
True.
know Not every family situation is different, but not everybody understands autism, and sometimes families can be tough trying to get them to understand what's happening. um, and that can be really frustrating, and it really can really make you feel like you're doing something wrong. And it can be really stressful. So you got to get your people, you got to find people
Right.
that get it, and you know be with those people.
That is it is very true. It is it is so true because it can be a lot. It can
Hmm.
definitely weigh on your emotions, weigh on your mental in general, weigh on your physical well being. It can be a lot. And believe it or not, your kids feed off of how you feel. So if you
Yeah.
feel drained and burned out and overwhelmed with the situation, it transfers over to them, which makes it a whole lot
Right.
worse for them. They don't know how to cope, and they don't understand all these emotions that are going on with them. With
Hmm.
autism, I would say that it is one of those things that not one description fits all.
Exactly.
And as much as the internet, the textbooks, the doctors have helped us, unless you live it
Yeah.
and have to maneuver with it, you don't
Yeah.
understand that they're all different. Every autistic child,
Hmm.
adult, they are all different. They all have their strengths and weaknesses. So you
Yep.
can't lump them into one category. And
Right.
that kind of leads into how you handle everything. Because if they are lumped in to one
Hmm.
bucket, to say the least, they're all treated the same, which is not true. I
Right.
know for both of us, if anyone was to see our kids, they wouldn't know that they were autistic until they have a moment, and it
Right.
could be misinterpreted as they're being rude or disrespectful. That's for
Right.
strangers and family alike.
Yep.
Which leads into my next topic: is how do you deal with guilt, burnout, trying to not be on repeat with strangers and family members?
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, I don't think that there's one answer to that. I mean, I think it's
Yeah.
just you grab every moment that you can for yourself. You talk to your support system. Um, and I was going to say this earlier too. I think one of the best gifts that you can give yourself as the parent of an autistic child is to trust your instincts. Um, because you get so much advice. There's so much noise around you, everywhere, from family, from teachers, from therapists, all, mostly well-meaning, well-intentioned, but not always what your child needs. And as Tina said, every child is different, and nobody knows your child better than you. So I think giving yourself grace and giving yourself the gift of trusting your instincts. You know what your child needs. And even if it seems crazy, even if it's, completely opposite of what so called traditional parenting tells you to do, don't be afraid of that.
Um, it is, I guess, just one word I have: give yourself grace. The grace,
Yeah.
grace, grace is
Yeah.
um what I can say. Grace is uh important.
Hmm. I mean, you're
It
going to mess
is,
up.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, there's no instructional, no in direction. There's nothing
Yeah.
that gives you.
Yeah, you're going to do the wrong thing sometimes. You're going to react the way you don't want to react. You're going to misinterpret what your kid is doing and what they need. I mean, that's just going to
Right.
happen. So grace is huge. Is huge. You just got to take a minute and shake it off and get back on horse.
That is very true. So before we get into our next topic, we're going to go to a quick commercial, and we will be right
Okay.
back to continue this conversation. Negative self talk. You are a speaker, and it would speak life, light, and love to yourself. And that self talk can either make you or break you. What made you decide to not listen to that negative talk to yourself?
So it was me. And it was me because I knew that at the end of the day, I was going to prove my own self wrong because these were the things that I was telling myself, right? No one was telling me that actually. No one was telling me you're not good enough, you're dumb. No one was I was telling
On emotions, understand what you dislike and what you like, what you would rather, what you would not rather. Like it teaches you a lot, honestly, to date yourself. And also, it's refreshing. It's refreshing, and then to be able to go to your partner and experience dates. You get like a different, I don't know how to explain it. You get like
Different feelings, different levels of
yeah,
yeah,
like it's like you're pouring into yourself.
right.
And then you can go pour into someone else. So that's how I look at it now. So, and I honestly too, dating yourself, it could be awkward. I used to feel awkward going on a date with
Non-negotiable that you have to do to stay grounded and balanced.
Okay, so some non-negotiables for me is, and I started this in like 2016. I have to break my fast with a smoothie. I
Okay.
cannot go, I cannot do nothing else without my smoothie. So it's
Okay.
funny because like when I'm traveling or something, I'll actually bring my blender or my smoothie blender.
Wow, really?
Yeah, like it's become like a part of me, like because I'll intermittent fast until like noon. So like the first thing I have, it has to have it.
Hey, beauties and gents. We are back. I hope you guys were able to catch the snippets from the show Beauty Me with Tina. We're always talking about self care, beauty, and fashion, but right now we are talking to autism moms and caregivers just to share our stories and give advice that may help down the road. So we're going to bring Kate back on, and hopefully my husband will be on soon to share his aspect of how seeing women, including myself, and how he feels about everything with the diagnosis. Because believe it or not, ladies, the way your husbands, boyfriends, family members see you react kind of dictates how they react to. Believe it or not, it kind of makes
Mhm.
a difference. And sometimes it is hard to explain to the males as well how you feel. It's already hard to explain your feelings in general to kind of put themselves in your
Mhm.
shoe, but he'll be on in a moment to kind of share his thoughts as well. So, as we are continuing our conversation as autism moms, how do you think self care for yourself plays into how your son feels?
Oh gosh. I mean, my son uh, is very perceptive. He's always paying attention. He's always listening, and they some people say that kids with autism don't like aren't able to empathize. Aren't able to have emotions, recognize emotions. In some cases, that may be true, but not for my child, not for a lot of children that I've worked with in the past. It's almost as if they feel too much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think they get overwhelmed by emotions, other people's emotions, and so they have to kind of either put a wall up or do something to protect themselves, and that can look like not having any emotional reaction or not caring.
Right.
Um, Therefore I think it's I don't want to put more pressure on moms,
Right.
because I have definitely done that to myself, like, oh, I got to get myself together, he's watching, I'm going to make him worse, that kind of thing. um however, I think you do have to be aware of it, you know, and if you know that you're stressed, if you're having a hard time, if you feel like you're about to explode, it's time to just take a step back and do something to kind of get the ground under your feet again.
Right.
Because it
That
will affect them. It will.
yes, that is
Yeah.
very true. So we're gonna have Ken come on with us
Oh,
now, so
good.
he can he can put in his input with the experience. So I'm gonna keep
Hello.
professional. Hey, maybe no.
Hey, Ken is a wonderful, wonderful dad. I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay,
Thank
so we're gonna rewind a little bit, baby. Uh, from your perspective, how do you think my emotions were roller coaster wise in general with our son's diagnosis?
Six Flags would be an understatement because when we first initially got the news, it was like our son is going to be a vegetable. We won't be able to do a lot of things with him. And me as a dad, having my first son, first child, period, you want to do those things. You want to get outside and throw the ball with him. You want to go to sporting events with them, and to hear that they're going to be a vegetable and might not be able to do that kind of stuff, it breaks you as a man. But as a woman, just seeing you go through it, I was trying to keep my emotions in check just to be strong for you. So it was trying.
It was. I would say it's one of those where you know how guys are like, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm fine." You're over here freaking out because I'm not gonna lie, I was crying hysterically. I was boohooing, ugly snot, the whole shebang. Like I completely lost my mind. I'm not going to even color code it. And when I asked him, he was just like, "Yeah, I'm good." But as a woman, you can tell when your significant other is not okay. Like they guard it with their face, but that energy is completely different.
Yeah.
So, as a man, and as my husband, I appreciate that you were able to keep that composure and kind of help me maintain my somewhat of my senses. Um, but it was one of those where it's literally an emotional roller coaster. Kate, how would you say your husband handled the news, or just kind of looking at you and how you handle it?
It was hard for him. Um, because he, it was a whole new world for him. And, but he didn't talk about it that much. Um, you all had so much extra with your diagnosis. I mean, you had health issues, he was premature, you had so much stuff along with it. Our diagnosis was much simpler. Um, but I think it's hard for men to talk about it, and I think just like Ken said, I think he tried really hard to just be kind of a rock.
Right.
And he would just do whatever I ask him to do. But it's hard for them to talk about what's really going on and how they really feel about it.
Well, that's true. With therapy, or our son still does therapy, and with something that we recently found out, that a lot of relationships, whether it be marriages or just boyfriend and girlfriend engagements, don't last once that child is diagnosed with autism. It's a very rare thing for couples to stay together because it is a trying moment. It is different. It changes your whole aspect as far as moving around through life. And for women, having that backbone, whether it be your spouse or a family member, it helps a whole lot. And I asked Kate before about self-care and how important it is. It is one of those things why I had to remind myself that self-care is important, because our son is very observant. Even when you think they're not paying attention and they're playing and doing their own thing, they're listening to every word. They're looking at every action, even if they're not looking at you directly with the eyeball. They are literally, they know everything you're doing. They feel everything you're doing. It is amazing, scary, but amazing what they can tell is going on, even though they're not directly looking at you or listening to you. And self-care had to be one of those things that I did just to clear my mind and make sure my energy was together, so I can make sure he was good. I can make sure that he's going to feed off of my energy, because they have a lot of energy. Don't get me wrong. I don't know where it comes from, but they have energy for for days. But if you are down on yourself, if you don't have yourself in order, if you are feeling some kind of way, they observe it. They, in some instances, some autistic kids, they suck it up like a sponge, and some of them block it. For the ones like our son that suck it up like a sponge, they hold it in, but also shows down the road. It affects how they move daily. It affects how they go through school. It's almost like a blow up. And it's not intentional. It's just that they're soaking up all the emotion that you're going through. And then they finally have to let it go. They have to squeeze out all the juices.
Right.
So Kate, I'm. No, I was going to come back to. I was going to come back to you. How do you create peace when he does have a moment of chaos or a breakdown?
Me?
Yes, you.
I think, like we said earlier, every child is different. And, they all need different things. And you have to figure out what works for your child. And for my child, what he needs when he's having a moment is a lot of space, not just physical space, but mental space.
Right.
He needs to have no expectations put on him. He needs to just be able to, sometimes he goes off by himself. Sometimes he, gets on the iPad and watches videos. But he needs time where nobody's asking anything of him. And he, fortunately has learned to self-regulate, and, he'll calm down and everything's fine. If I found, my husband and I both found that the more we tried to talk to him and, find out what was wrong, try to fix it, it just made it worse.
Very
a lot
true.
worse.
Very, very, very
I don't know
true.
that that's true for every child, but, that's what worked for us.
I would say that our son is the same way. He does need space, but we've learned, and beauties, gents, I don't know if this works for you guys, but we've learned to kind of change the subject. If he's having a bad day, we ask him about it, and if he says he doesn't want to talk about it, kind of change the subject to something that he likes, whether it's Beyblades or cars, and kind of have a conversation with it and kind of lean it back over of how they're feeling. And eventually, it doesn't always work, but most of the time it does. He says what's going on. He says how he feels, and we let him express himself. One thing that we've learned is, and we agreed on, is that we wouldn't treat him any differently. We would we learned the signs that when he's having his moment, and like all kids, they try to push your limits sometimes. And it's one of those things that we had to learn, and we're still learning as parents how to maneuver. Okay, is he having a moment, or is he seeing how much he can milk the cow? So,
Yeah, yeah.
so baby, I see you shaking your head. What are your thoughts on not only how you see self-care, me personally doing self-care has helped him, but also how he acts when he's taking in emotions.
Well,
Oh, you said Ken. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
well, for me, like early in his when he was a baby, I was at work a lot, so I really had to really start learning how to, I would say, introduce myself again to him because I was always at work. So once I saw you starting to take your self-care more into your daily routines and things, and I saw how he was reacting to it, he was more calm and more collected, and I started learning him. Me personally, I just started treating him as a normal child because in my eyes that's what he is, even though he has autism. But like you said, we give him his space to figure himself out. And then what I like to do myself, I like to go and talk to him as a father and let him know, hey, it's okay to be frustrated. This is how you should deal with it. And I always tell him, don't be like me, be better than me. Because even though I'm not on the spectrum or anything, I was a rager, I guess, when I was young. But I don't want him to go down those same paths, and I don't want him to use his autism as a crutch either, because I try to tell him in life things are going to be hard, so you just have to talk to someone, ask their opinions, come to me and your mom, your cousins, your aunts, whoever you need to, and talk about it. And so at the age of 13 now, I think he's getting a, a grasp on how to deal with his emotions. And like Kate said, he'll go outside or whatever and just be by himself, listen to music, watch videos, and just calm down. And then he'll come back and we'll take it from there.
That is very true. That takes me into my next topic. The importance of safe spaces, friendships, and mental health professionals. I'm gonna start this one off just because, as far as safe spaces, they are very important. Not only for parents, moms, where we can have an outlet to voice our concerns, voice our feelings without being judged or looked at funny, but also for our mental health, because again, it goes back to our kids. We have to make sure that we're able to advocate for our kids, because even in the professional aspect, some doctors try to put them in one category. And it is very important, not only with doctors, but for family, friends, associates, strangers, school personnel. We have to advocate for our kids and be their voice. As they get older, yes, we still do have to teach how to speak for themselves, but we need to make sure that we're in a clear mental health space to be able to advocate for our kids. Kate,
Absolutely.
what is your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea of safe spaces, both for, our kids, but also for ourselves. We, moms and dads need a place, just like you said, that they can go and blow off some steam, talk about what's going on with them. I personally have been in therapy for years. I still go to therapy because, I just have somebody that I can tell stuff to, just, get it out of my head. And they're there to listen to me, tell me that I'm doing great. And that is just critical. I am a big fan of therapy. I recommend everybody go. It makes a huge difference. And I think also, I think flexibility is really important when you're creating a safe space, for yourself and for your kids. A lot of times what your kid needs or what you need may not be what's considered right or typical,
Right.
or the way you're supposed to do it. And I think probably you're going to do a lot of things that other people would say you're not supposed to do that.
Right.
That's not right. And I think you just have to, you'll have that voice in your head, but don't listen to it always.
What are your thoughts, maybe, as far as mental health? What have you seen, looking at KJ and I, and including yourself?
Well, me personally, I think mental health is an issue that must be handled. If you don't have anyone to talk to, find that person, a therapist, maybe even a family member sometime, but talk to someone. And it's, for me, it's more of a, how do I handle a situation more diplomatic than I would normally, because now I have someone to live for, and I have a family, so I can't go off and do what I would normally do. So I would, like I said previously, I tell my kids to be better than me, and I try to instill that. I lead by example rather than talk it now. And I talk to my wife when I have an issue, because she's my biggest supporter. She'll tell me when I'm wrong. Even my kids, they'll tell me when I'm wrong. So I feel that you have to have somebody to talk to battle this, I would say, illness of mental health.
It is, there's nothing wrong with therapy, counseling, talking to your priest, bishop, someone that you feel safe with, which is a big thing. Because your kids, believe it or not, they, like I said, they feel what you feel. They go off of your energy. They go off of your mood. They go off of your tone. And it is one of those things that you have to make sure that you're right with yourself, mentally and physically, so they can be right as well. And you can help them be right and give them any kind of assistance or help that they need. And for my beauties, for gents out there, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't care what anyone says. Get the help that you need. Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
No shame. No shame in it.
No shame whatsoever. The worst thing that you can do is know that you need help and not get it. So get the help that you need.
Yeah.
I want to say to my mom, this is not going to be an easy task. It is not going to happen overnight, because it didn't happen overnight to me. I had to remind myself to take at least 5 minutes for yourself, whether it be the morning, in the middle of the day, in the evening. Take 5 minutes for yourself to catch that breath, to breathe, to mentally clear yourself. And you can add more time down the road and just get that place of sanity back for yourself. It makes a difference, believe it or not, whether you're having tea, coffee, listening to music, or just looking outside. Take at least 5 minutes for yourself. You will see the difference of being able to take that deep breath for that moment. So time is flying by, beauties. I wish we can go a little bit longer with this. There's a whole lot that we could talk about on both ends. Kate, before we start wrapping up, what advice would you give to our moms about self-care and just getting themselves together and taking time for themselves?
I would just say, whatever you're doing a great job. You know, you're doing fine. You're doing great. Everything is going to be okay. Your kid's going to be okay. You are going to be okay. Just keep moving, and you will be all right. And get people around you. Get the people around you that you need to help you.
Yeah.
And if there are people in your circle that are not helpful, it's okay to, push them out a little bit, not have them as involved. Even if it's your family, it's okay to just, we're not going to talk about that right now. I'm not going to tell you what's going on,
Right.
Just for your own peace. You got to do what you need to do for your own peace.
That is so true. You can love your family from a distance. Your child is your number one priority. That is a big thing, because you don't want your child to feel like something is wrong with them.
Mm-hmm.
Your child should always feel special, because they are. They are very special.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say, love your family. They're your family, but you can love them from a distance when it comes to your child. Your child is your number one priority. They should feel loved no matter who they're around. No matter if it's, oh, go ahead.
No. Sorry, finish. I was just gonna say, therapist. Like, and if you have professionals in your circle that you feel are not right, it's okay to change. Get rid of them and find somebody new. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. It's true. It is very true. Not everyone means well, whether it's family, professionals, or associates, friends. They don't all mean well. It's people. Just be careful, because you're your child's first defense against anyone. So not only be defensive of yourself and making sure that you're okay, but also making sure that your child is okay. Baby, what would you say, or advice-wise, to women as far as self-care, but not only that, but to their spouses as far as helping?
Like you said, take 5-10 minutes out, do whatever you do, drink your coffee, read a book, write in a journal, whatever you do, and just think about yourself. Nobody but yourself. And for the men, be that backbone that the women need, because the women are the nurturers. They and the child have more of a connection than we do with the kids most of the time, because they're there 100% of the time. I tell my wife, baby, go out, do what you need to do. Go get your nails done, get a pedicure, get your hair done. I got the kids. And just take your kids, bond with them, spend time with them, get to know them, not just as a kid, but it's okay to be their friend too. So that's one thing me and my kids have. We have a great relationship. We'll wrestle, we'll play video games, we'll cook together, we'll do whatever we need to do and just technically forget about mommy because mommy is having mommy time. So, I mean, and men, you can do self-care too. I mean, you can go out and get a haircut, get your beard lined up, whatever you want to do. Go eat hot wings with the boys or whatever you want. Just as long as y'all take care of y'allself too. But
It's true.
be that
Very true.
be that support for the women, yes.
That is very true. As the old saying go, it takes a village, and it really, really, really does. It is
Yeah.
one of those things where you're going to be spending your whole life advocating for your child. I don't care how old they get, you're going to be advocating for them because they're going to always need you. Yes, they'll be independent. Yes, they'll be doing stuff for themselves, but there's going to be instances where they need you, or you're going to have to be their backbone. So this doesn't stop when they turn 18 or they're off to college. This is a continuous thing. So you have to make sure that you're able to have that relationship and your child know that you have their back no matter what, which involves you making sure you have your mental, your physical together, and you're able to keep yourself together and have open discussions. It's okay when you're not okay. It's okay to say, you know what, I'm having a moment, let me cry it out. Oh, I need to talk to someone. That is completely fine. So before we end this, beauties and gents, I hope we were able to share our stories with you and give you some advice. For the ones that registered on Eventbrite, we do have the download from Autism Awareness. I will be sending out emails after the event tomorrow with resources, people you can contact that can help you with whatever you need, whether it's housing or financial, or just finding what your local charities are that can help you. There's a lot of programs out there that can help you with therapy for your child, physical, occupational, things that you may need depending on what state you're on. They're all called different things, but I will have that list out there for you guys to get the assistance that you need, that we're not always told about. So with that being said, beauties and gents, I hope everyone have a wonderful evening. Don't forget, we'll be here tomorrow at the same time. We have a special guest, Naima Bond, that is going to give you a different aspect from the professional aspect of things, that hopefully will help you as well along in this journey. So again, beauties and gents, have a wonderful evening, and we will see you guys tomorrow evening.
Non-negotiable that you have to do to stay grounded and balanced.
Okay, so some non-negotiables for me is, and I started this in like 2016. I have to break my fast with a smoothie. I
Okay.
cannot go. I cannot do nothing else without my smoothie. So it's
Okay.
funny because like when I'm traveling or something, I'll actually bring my blender or my smoothie blender.
Wow, really?
Yeah, like it's become like a part of me, like because I'll intermittent fast until like noon. So like the first thing I have, it has to be